Am I the idiot for siding with my boyfriend over my kids in the aftermath of his cheating? I, 49F, have been dating Richard, 51M, for 6 years. We've been living in his house together. Richard is the only serious relationship I've been since my divorce 10 years ago. I divorced my ex-husband, college sweetheart, after 15 years of marriage because I felt like my ex-husband ultimately meant well. The New England-type bluntness that I tried to excuse when we were dating translated into me not feeling supported. Only when I'd yell at him over the clinical way he viewed things would he try to make up for it by trying talk more Southern, as he called it, but he'd revert back to his okay, so attitude shortly after. This apathetic attitude, I believe, is what cost my ex a lot of job promotions. We live in Arkansas, and to succeed here you have to master the art of small talk. People were taken aback by his directness. I felt like a weight was lifted post-divorce. However, I wasn't prepared for how horrible the dating scene was. I never doubted my ex's honesty, fidelity, or reliability, yet all the men I encountered were either unemployed, had anger issues, or would ignore me. The reliable ones were all 65 plus. But then I met Richard, and he was everything I needed. Empathetic, polite, and diplomatic with his words, unlike my ex. He was also smart and successful. He owns a construction company that has gotten various government contracts. We are both social butterflies as well. We have been talking of marriage, but my kids, 23M, 18M, dislike him. Something about him being fake. I did not know the extent of their hate until I find out they have been attempting to trace his movements, and my younger son abuses the fact that Richard doesn't clear his device history to expose that he was renting an apartment for a girl who just turned 24 for 2 years. I was heartbroken to find out, but this was all compounded by the fact that this was exposed because my sons had been spying on Richard for months. I yelled at Richard and told him to end it. He explained that she didn't mean anything and he'd end it and go to counseling, but that his privacy has been violated. And my sons had no business following him to that shopping plaza where they took a picture of him kissing the woman. This erupted into a fight where my sons said they did nothing illegal and Richard saying it was morally wrong. The boys begged me to leave him, while Richard told me to tell my younger son to go live with his dad because he didn't want him around. My ex lives 2 hours away from my son's college, so he'd have to get a place if he wasn't living with us. It was a hard decision, but in the end I felt like I need to believe what Richard and I had was special and that this was a mistake we could work through. I've been with him for 6 years. I have had one big breakup, my divorce, and don't want another. So I told my son that he couldn't be around the house, and he was furious, saying I chose Richard over him. Comment 1. So you prefer a smooth-talking conman and liar to a straight-talking honest man who wouldn't cheat on you. You like being deceived and manipulated because you find that more reassuring than someone treating you straight. You picked a conman over your son who was trying to save you from your own stupidity. You can choose to stay with a cheater if you want, that's between you and your own sense of worth, that's your business, but your son probably thought you had some dignity and was trying to help you. Ostracizing him and making him the villain because you don't have dignity and prefer to stay with a con over an honest man is a choice. Comment 2. Whenever you see a post with a young person who has a much older partner being creepy, people will say like, girl, get out of there. You're 24 and he's 51. Nobody who's 51 wants an equal relationship with a 24-year-old. He's walking all over you because no woman his age will put up with his bullshit. And yet here we see a prime example of the 51-year-old dating the 24-year-old, and there is a woman willing to put up with his bullshit, and it's OP. Go figure. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my roommate's girlfriend he was cheating on her? So, a while back I had a roommate, and we got along pretty well. He had only moved in temporarily for the summer for a job he had taken for a local minor league baseball team. He actually moved across the state for the job. Needless to say, that he was not making any money while he was working as an intern. His girlfriend had a really good job and ended up paying his bills. This went on for about 3 months. She paid for his rent, his gas, and his food. This included extras like takeout food and movies. Not only was this girl very generous, and she was beautiful. He was a really lucky guy. Just to be clear, no, I was not trying to come in between them. On night after I had taken a shower, I had to walk behind him as I walked to my bedroom. The living room was a central room of the house. So, there were doors on all sides. The TV was on one wall and the couch was a little past the midpoint of the room. It was set up this way so you wouldn't disrupt someone as you went to your room or the kitchen. That being explained, as I left the bathroom to go to my room, I noticed he was on Tinder. I thought that was really odd. But this was really early on of him living with me, so I just ignored it. I figured they might have some kind of open arrangement and didn't want to get in the middle. After a couple of months, I got to know my roommate and his girlfriend. He was a really great guy, we got along really well. Side note, he was also great with my dog. She loved him. She, the girlfriend, came over on the weekends and would help him out at work. Things like being the mascot for the baseball team. She really went out of her way for him. A few days before he moved out, we went to an escape room as a goodbye kind of thing. We did not escape, we suck. Afterwards we got home and some girl was there who I did not know. He had told me that a friend was meeting him at the house to go to the escape room again. So, when we get home I wasn't really expecting some girl. Let's be honest. She didn't hold a candle to his girlfriend. I looked at him and said, "Dude, that's a girl." He got mad and said that guys and girls can be friends. Sketchy. I would like to point out, I really cannot stand a cheater. My wife had left me earlier in the year for another man. I tried to stay out of it normally. But what happened next was over the line. They came back about an hour later. I was in my room. I do keep my door open so that my dog can come and go. When this strange girl came in the house, she started to bark at her. They quickly went into his room. After that I started to hear them having sex. Awesome. At this point I am very upset. I had told him about my ex-wife and everything she had put me through. Now he brings his tryst into my home. A few days later he packs up and moves out. I hadn't said anything to him about it. But I was avoiding him. His summer internship was over and was moving back in with his girlfriend. He gave me the key and left. After about an hour after he left, I messaged his girlfriend. I told her that wasn't trying to get into her business, but I had a question. She told me to go ahead and ask. I said, "I was wondering if you and your boyfriend had a special relationship?" She asked me what I had meant. I asked, "Do you and your boyfriend have an open relationship?" She told me no, they did not. I then told her I was sorry to have to tell her this, but he had been cheating on her. I went ahead and explained what had happened. She thanked me and in fact that this was not the first time this had happened. I said again how sorry I was. She said thank you and we stopped messaging. About 10 minutes later I received about a 3-page message calling me every name in the book. The girlfriend had confronted the roommate about what he had done. Needless to say, he was mad. I just ignored him and blocked his number. I have no idea if they ever broke up. Either way, I feel like I had done the right thing. A lot of people have said I should have stayed out of it. I figured I would see what you all think. Comment 1. Cheating is never okay. My ex cheated on me and our mutual friend told me. I was angry, sad, disgusted with my ex, but to this day, I'm very grateful to this friend. Comment 2. He was not just a cheater. He was a disgusting leech. His GF was paying for everything, including his night out with the other woman. How could a man possibly ask his girlfriend for money and spend them to take another woman out? And not just that, she was doing his work with him. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling on my friend's cousin for encouraging my friend and I to cheat on our girlfriends in college? I 19M and friend 19M were sitting down last night watching some baseball at his house. His cousin, 24M, was over as well as some other people. The rest were in a different room or outside. He sat down with us and asked how things were. We told him about our first year of college and how we are going to move out of our dorm into an apartment. I guess this got the gears turning in his head. He knows we both have girlfriends, but yet he went on to speak. He told us that we could use the new apartment to hang out with other girls that are into us, without our GFs knowing. He also said that we will regret it later on in life not having experience with more people. Ironically enough, he admits that he only had one partner in the past 5 years due to him being too busy, and he does not want to see us have the same fate. My friend and I were disgusted by this. We have both been cheated on in years past. It affected me for a good few weeks. His experience hurt him a lot more due to reasons I'm not going to go into. Needless to say, we find cheating to be terrible. His cousin did not get the hint and told us that our relationships probably won't last that long anyways, and one of us is bound to get cheated on. I think he was probably a 6-pack deep at this point. He's the type of bro that I never hang out with. My friend does not see him except at family functions and never texts him for this reason. Anyways, when he gets up to use the restroom, my friend says he's telling his aunt, mom of cousin. He was concerned that his cousin would tell other family members in college the same thing and possibly influence them. He was particularly worried about his cousin's sister, F21, who is very straight-laced but trusts him a lot for advice. I ended up going with him to do it and tell the mom first since I don't want things to fall on his shoulders. Mom ends up yelling at her son for what he said to us and told us to do. Cousin got embarrassed and probably saw the error in his ways. His mom took him home after that. He texted my friend that I'm a snitch. Friend's dad talked to us and said we did the right thing, and he called cheaters some colorful words. He told us that the cousin is shallow and whatnot. So, I feel like it's weird being 19 and ratting out a 24 years old to his mom, but at the same time he could have influenced his other family members to practice that kind of lifestyle. My friend and his parents are happy I had his back. I've never told on people unless I felt like they could cause something bad to happen to others, and this was one of those cases.